Hello, how are you? Walking can be wonderful no matter your age, whether you're 40, 50, 60 years old. It helps protect your brain, your heart, your blood sugar, your joints, and even your independence. But there are some very important details that many people get wrong when walking, which can ruin everything and make things worse, including your health. These are things you need to pay attention to in your daily life. Otherwise, you'll go for walks and still keep your belly big with high blood sugar, losing muscle mass, feeling pain, and even speeding up your metabolic aging. You need to know what these things are, so stay until the end. You won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask you if you walk or not. How many times a week, and for how long do you walk? Write it for me down here in the comments. We know that after 50 or even 40, yes, it starts at 40, 50, 60, our body starts to change, right? Muscle mass can gradually decrease, which is called sarcopenia. Our metabolism can slow down, and our muscle recovery may become slower. In addition, we have an issue regarding insulin resistance, which tends to increase as we get older. And blood circulation can also become less efficient. Over time, we can also increase the risk of developing low-grade chronic inflammation. All of this is part of aging, but the problem isn't getting older, right? We want to get there. Aging is a sign of a long life, that you're managing, in short, to live your life well. The problem is aging without health, without proper stimulation. And that's exactly where walking comes in, because when we walk the right way, it's a very good exercise, and the body responds really well. And perhaps most importantly, beyond all the physical and metabolic benefits, regular exercise can also have a positive impact on mental well-being. It can help improve mental health, reduce anxiety symptoms, and even serve as a valuable complement to the treatment of depression. So we know that walking the right way can improve and reduce cardiovascular risk, help with glycemic control, lower the risk of type 2 diabetes, decrease inflammation in the body, and even slow down cognitive decline that happens over the years. But our body responds to walking according to how it is done. And there are some mistakes that can compromise your walk and make all that effort you put in during those 30, 40, 50 minutes a day not match up to everything you invested there. Let's start talking about the main mistakes people make. And that's why walking isn't having the desired effect and may even be harming your health. Mistake number one, which I think is the most common, is walking too slowly without actually giving your body a real stimulus. Many people think that any kind of walk will already play an important role and have an effect on your body. But of course, obviously, any movement is better than nothing. But there's a difference between going for a stroll, walking your dog, checking out how your neighbor's plants are doing, and actually exercising to stimulate your body. The body needs a certain level of challenge to trigger adaptation, a metabolic response. And when the walk is extremely slow, very comfortable, with no plan for what I'm going to do that day, the cardiovascular and metabolic stimulus can be very small. This is very important if you have prediabetes, if you have insulin resistance, if you have a big belly, if you have a slower metabolism and want faster results, because muscles work like a sponge that helps absorb glucose. When you walk at a slightly faster, more vigorous pace, your muscles begin to use more energy to support that increased level of activity. And this does, in fact, help with glucose metabolism. It doesn't mean you have to go out running or climb a really steep hill, nothing like that. But especially after the age of 50, you need to move away from that extremely slow walk with no cardiovascular stimulation at all. A good practical reference is that during part of your walk, you should be able to talk to someone who is with you, but at another point, you should be a little out of breath when speaking, not out of breath while walking. But if you try to talk, being a little out of breath shows that the intensity is already reaching a moderate level. A basic mistake as well, which is very common for people to make, is thinking that walking alone will prevent you from losing muscle mass. Walking is excellent. It's really very good for cardiovascular health, for metabolic health, as I mentioned to you, but it does not completely replace strength training. And this is a very important mistake because, as I said, from the age of 40, and especially from 50 or 60 onwards, we can start to develop a process called sarcopenia, which is the progressive loss of muscle mass. This is related to aging, and muscle mass isn't just for aesthetics, right? I know that when we talk about muscle mass, people often think about aesthetics. But it's actually very important for balance, for metabolism, for strength, for autonomy, for supporting the joints, and even for controlling blood sugar, as I mentioned earlier. In fact, we know nowadays that people with more muscle mass tend to age metabolically better. And there's a very common issue, which is that some people walk every day but don't do any strength training, no weight training, Pilates, or water aerobics that involve some resistance, right? So cardiovascular conditioning might improve a bit, but muscle loss happens silently, and this can lead to problems in the future. To weakness, falls, even fractures, difficulty getting up from a chair, loss of independence. So walking and strength training complement each other. It's a good idea for you to try to do both. There are many physical education professionals on YouTube who offer workouts specifically for seniors that you can do at home. Obviously, the ideal is that you always have your doctor's approval and the support of a physical education professional who knows you in your city to help you. But take a look on YouTube. You can search for strength training exercises for senior beginners. You'll definitely find some really great options there for you. The third mistake is to start walking and think that it's enough, while still eating poorly and not changing your diet. We know that simply walking isn't enough to offset the effects of an inflammatory diet that's high in ultra-processed foods. Of course, walking will help you. It's better than eating poorly and being completely sedentary, but that's not the point. But there's no use walking for 30 or 40 minutes a day and thinking you can drink all the soda you want, eat all the ultra-processed foods, frozen meals, ice cream, and think that your body will respond just to that small stimulus of 30 to 50 minutes a day. Your day has 24 hours, remember that. So, your body responds much better when walking is combined with a naturally anti-inflammatory diet, one that emphasizes whole, minimally processed foods while limiting ultra-processed products. Avoid alcohol, avoid smoking, which isn't directly related to diet, but it does fall under the topic of a healthy lifestyle, right? With that, we will probably be able to improve insulin resistance, reduce the accumulation of abdominal fat, which is super important as we age, improve circulation, and address inflammation in a broader sense. A very common mistake also has to do with walking with poor posture. We see people walking alone on the street these days, looking at their cell phones, and that posture is terrible for you. It increases the risk of falling, right? You might trip over something without noticing. It also makes it harder for you to truly disconnect and relax, including helping to ease anxiety, to notice more of the environment around you. There are also people who walk, sometimes not with their cell phone, but looking down with their shoulders hunched, their neck pushed far forward, taking very short steps. And that changes the mechanics, the biomechanics of walking, right? Of this bodily aspect. We know that poor posture can affect breathing, the distribution of impact on the feet, the way it reflects on the spine, and even post-workout fatigue. So, when your posture improves, your body moves more efficiently. So ideally, you should look forward, look up, keep your shoulders relaxed, let your arms participate in the walk, and take strides that are comfortable for you. Another very important mistake is ignoring the best time for you to control your blood glucose. Because if you can choose a time of day to go for your walk, ideally you should do it after lunch, after dinner, or after both. Because taking short walks of just 10 to 15 minutes after these large meals can significantly boost your metabolic health, can really help your body use glucose better after eating. And this is extremely important for those with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, or a lot of fat accumulation in the visceral abdominal region. And that's because after lunch or dinner, it's natural for blood glucose to rise. It's just part of the process. But when we stimulate the muscles, and walking is a form of stimulation, the muscles in motion help absorb more of that glucose. So, short walks after meals can have a very interesting metabolic effect over time. So if you were to say to me, Patricia, I don't have time to go out and walk for 30 minutes first thing in the morning, you don't even need to. Just 15 minutes even inside your house after lunch and 15 minutes after dinner will already add up to the 30 minutes you need, and at a time that is golden for improving your metabolism. Another mistake is giving up because you didn't see results on the scale quickly enough. I know that many people who start walking do it to help control their body weight, and often their body health, the metabolism will respond before the weight goes down. Sometimes the person is sleeping better. They have more energy. Their circulation has already improved. When you check your glucose control, it's already better. You're already feeling less tired. Your mood has improved, but the change on the scale still hasn't happened. And then the person gets discouraged and thinks it's not working at all. Remember that walking isn't just for losing weight. It's for your heart. It's for your brain. It's for your well-being. It will help with circulation, your joints, and for you to age in a healthier way. So don't focus so much on the scale. It can't be the only metric for you to see good results. Remember that. Another very common mistake is taking very short steps and keeping your body too stiff. After 40 or 50 years old, a lot of people start walking with smaller and smaller steps without even noticing. The body ends up becoming stiffer, the hips lose a bit of mobility, the arms barely move anymore, and your walk becomes more rigid. And that's really bad because besides reducing muscle activation, when you make a broader, more complete movement, it can also worsen your balance and increase this inefficiency in energy expenditure. So when we're also walking with our bodies very tense, it can overload the knees, lower back, hips, neck. So your walk needs to be fluid. Remember to move your arms along your body. Remember to take a stride, not a step longer than your leg, but a wide, comfortable stride. Walk in a way that uses more effective biomechanics, so you don't put too much impact on your joints. Tell me down below then if you've made any of these mistakes without realizing it and which one you're going to change on your next walk. If you know someone who walks, share this video, okay? Let's expand our chain of kindness. And leave a like on the video because it's really important to me. See you next time. Bye.